Well, hi, it's Dan Wilt here, and I want to welcome you to our seminar, Three Best Practices for Creating Flow in a Worship Set. This is part of the Essentials in Worship Toolkit series, which is part of the larger Essentials in Worship training material. And I'm so glad you could join in over at danwilt.com. I'd love if you signed up on the email list there. I'd love to send you more free downloads, free resources like this. As well, worship team devotionals and other tools that I believe will encourage you in your journey of worship leadership and in your journey of participating in a worship community in your local church. So let's dig right into three best practices for creating flow in a worship set. So the big question I've asked myself as a worship leader, and I know many others have asked, is how do we establish flow, transition between songs, between elements in a worship set in such a way that it inspires and moves people to respond to God in worship? Well, in my view, there's nothing worse than hearing a bad transition. It can really create a break moment in the midst of a time of worship. They throw off the congregation, they can interrupt the atmosphere that the music is creating for worship, and they can set a precedent for what's to come, a sense that anything could go wrong. And it creates a little bit of hesitation, I believe, in the congregation. Well, we can avoid those moments with just a bit of care and attention, and we can create transitions that really inspire a response of worship in the community we lead. That's the gift of music. It enables us to inspire a response from the heart, from the mind, and even the body in a worship environment. So let's look at three best practices, three ideas for creating flow. Number one, think like a storyteller. Number two, choose diverse transitions. And number three, choose smooth changes. So number one, think like a storyteller. When you're planning your worship set, think like a storyteller when you think about where transitions and good flow might happen, might help move this story of this set along. Every great story, whether it's in a movie, a song, an oral storytelling moment, or in a book, has a strong beginning. It's got a beautiful middle that holds your attention and moves the plot along. Then it has an ending that drops you off somewhere and just leaves you moved. Think this way when you're putting a whole worship set together. Ask yourself, how is this set, this movement of songs, I prefer to think of in terms of a set being built rather than simply stringing songs together. How is this movement, this flow of songs going to move smoothly in such a way that people will feel beautifully, hospitably drawn to the conclusion point, to where we're dropping them off at that place of meeting and encounter with God? Now, the beauty in art and creativity in the church is that we can do this through music. We can do it through art. We can do it through other creative means. We can do it through readings and prayers and moments of space and reflection in all the different kinds of settings in which we lead. But ultimately, we want our entire worship service to be one continuous flow in this manner. So think like a storyteller. Secondly, choose diverse transitions. You can connect songs together in many different ways. Use a variety of transitions to keep that worship story that is your set moving along. Be diverse. Try some different things. Do them in fresh, new ways. Let me give you some examples of tools that you can use. Number one, tie songs together instrumentally. I love when two songs are in a similar key and there's a similar groove to them. I love just moving from one song right into the next, maybe moving right into the chorus of the next song and making it open. So you're finishing a big song and it moves right into a big open chorus of the next song. I love doing that because it seems like it lifts the heart of the congregation when something like that happens. Look for groove connections, rhythm, tempo connections, and sometimes I'll even slightly alter the tempo of a song to make it work in this movement between two songs. A second idea is to sing a cappella. It's to take a moment where you actually sing the chorus of the next song a cappella as you empty out of the first one. And then you move into a light groove and you start moving into the song. Now, another transition is something to avoid. It's simply to avoid stopping a song and starting. Now, hear me. I think it's a great transition to just end a song and start another. But even that can be done smoothly. Even that can be done in a way that doesn't feel like just stopping and starting. And we're done. And now count in the next one. And here it is. you can actually end a song smoothly and sweetly and then begin to bring that next song in. One of the things I tell young worship leaders is that count in is not drawing us into worship. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, da, da. That's not something we need to really hear and feel in our bones. Let that be something communicated between the band, let the drummer do it. But often we're thinking so musically, we're forgetting that we're taking the congregation on a journey, and that can actually interrupt it. Now, I say to keep a continued groove. This is a little different than tying the songs together instrumentally in that you can tie songs together instrumentally with a rhythm. You can also tie it sonically together by tying it together with a chord change. Often the 5 sus will get you into another song. That was an old school way a lot of people moved between songs. The 5 sus of the new song, 5 suspended chord, and you could just get right into the next one. But there are other ways to do that connection of songs instrumentally. You can create a pad environment between songs. You can create something very simple that lets you have some space, like reading something over a pad or over some ambient space that then lets you move into the next song. But keeping a continued groove really is that specific idea of keeping the groove going and simply moving into the next song, and people feel like it's one extended song rather than 2 separate ones. Lots of tools you can use to keep your transitions diverse but fresh. And then choose smooth changes. When planning a set, I'm often thinking about songs in terms of what key they're in, how they move rhythmically from one to another, just to keep a smooth flow. Sometimes I'll end celebratory songs, and instead of moving directly into a slower, intimate song, we'll kind of slide into a medium tempo song. And the reason I do that is not because it's a formula, you always need to do that, but often the transition is much smoother in the heart and the mind, moving from medium tempo songs then into slower, sweeter, intimate songs. So we're not jarring the congregation. At the same time, you could have a big time of celebration. It ends with applause. People have spent themselves, and then you could go into something sweet. So the rule doesn't apply all the time, but it is a guideline to help you think about making flow happen elegantly, smoothly, to keep people engaged in the story that a set is telling. In more extended worship times like conferences, I'll often move from slower, sweet songs into medium, then fast tempo, more high celebration songs, and vice versa. I just keep it moving along the more extended the worship time is. So maybe you want to try at least one idea for creating flow in a worship set the next time you meet. Think of your set as the story you are telling. Use diverse transitions to help create a smooth flow in the songs of the story of the worship set. And bring the set to a close in such a way that people are beautifully drawn to a conclusion, that they find a place of meeting with God and are left in that moment. Again, I'd love to connect with you in our learning community over at danwilt.com. If you just join the email list there, I'll send you a free download, and then you'll regularly get free downloads. You'll get worship team devotionals. You'll get encouragements along the way. I promise I'll honor your inbox, but it's a great way for us to connect, and we have a lot of folks who are connecting that way. I'd love to see you there and connect with you on that newsletter list. So thanks for joining in to 3 best practices for creating flow in a worship set. Bless you as you do it.